So like I talked about in last week's lesson with counting, we're going to really sit down and buckle down in how counting helps you solidify techniques like the ones that I've shown you, the 2, 3, 4 finger and the Geddy Lee style flamenco flicking technique. We're going to start off with that technique just so you guys can get a clearer understanding what I mean by it. Now, I have a very old and temperamental amp right now, so it may really cut out during this lesson, but I want you guys to be able to hear it so that you can understand better what I'm saying. Now, with each attack, you want every flick and pluck to sound the same attack volume. So, I'm gonna try. Hopefully my amp is good. Okay, so you want all your attacks to sound same volume and consistency. Now, the reason why you want to be at the same volume and consistency right now is because no one is going to want to have someone who plays bass when their strokes go da da boo da 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 da. You want it to be single consistent stroke all around the neck, no matter what fingers you're using. That will get you work. That will get you jobs. That's what people want in a bassist. Not just a bassist, but a musician. They want every stroke to sound the same when they're supposed to sound the same. And when we get into more dynamics, then I'll show you how to, decrease in volume and increase in volume per attack so that it's not all based on fiddling around with the volume knobs. So I'm going to show you just reinforce some of the chromatic exercises that I've showed you doing the whole Geddy Lee flick flamenco style thing, whatever you want to call it, and I'll go through all the fingers. And remember, every exercise is ascension and descension. Ascension, one example of an ascending chromatic pattern is 1 2 3 4 1 2 3 4, but take that pattern in descension going down and it's 1 4 3 2 1 4 3 2. So for using your index finger, I'll show you ascending and descending on one string and then going up and down on all the strings. I'll show you on each finger and how I usually position each finger. So the metronome marking is going to be set at a calm, patient, steady 60 BPM. It's going to be slow, but in order to really develop these styles, you got to start slow and build up. You can't run until you learn to crawl, or you can't walk. You know what I mean. So here we go. Metronome mark is set. Here we go with the index finger. Pattern is 1 2 3 4 ascension and 1 4 3 2 in descension. That was using your index finger. Now with the index finger and middle finger, because they're the longest and the fingers that you're going to be using more times than not, you can pretty much position your fingers straight over the strings, like pretty much 90 degrees to the string. With your middle finger, because it is longer, you want to not be so directly over the string, but maybe just, more of like I want to say like 80, 75 degree angle to the string, just because you want to allow for the fact that it is the longest digit on your hand. So we'll do it with the middle finger, and the ascension pattern is 1 2 4 3 1 2 4 3. Descension is 1 3 4 2 1 3 4 2. So marking 3 4. I hope you were able to understand that, and like I said, this amp is very temperamental and will crap out on me. I need to invest in a new practice amp, long story short. So, like I said, with your middle finger, you want it not so directly parallel to the string, or, not parallel, vertical to the string. You want it to be at a little bit more of an angle. Now, the tricky thing with your ring and pinky finger is that they are the shorter digits, so you gotta manipulate the positioning of your hand and your playing arm, because if you stick it too far up like this, you're not gonna get you're just gonna cramp up if you position your arm like this. So you still want your arm up off of the body of the bass so that you're not cutting off blood circulation, but it's really more about finagling your hand at different angles right now. So with your ring finger and pinky finger, I tend to really just kind of drop my arm a little bit more down toward the body of the bass and really just roll my hand so that more of the meat of the ring and pinky finger can strike the string. And I tend to play with do this flick Geddy Lee thing way down here near the bridge, so that there's less string and more of an even, consistent stroke. Because I can do it up here, but sometimes, you flub the string. Like, you'll play a passage and then you'll hit a dead note, or you'll just attack it differently. And when you're playing at such a awkward hand positioning angle, you have the tendency, it just sounds worse. So for your ring and pinky finger, play down here past the bridge pickup, really close to the bridge. So the ascension pattern is 1 3 2 4 1 3 2 4, descension 1 4 2 3 1 4 2 3. So marking, amp on. you'll notice that when I'm first starting, I give myself a little bit of time just to get the finger moving and to get a nice good stroke happening, because if you just go into it, chances are you're not going to get it all that well. So that was with your ring finger. Now with the pinky finger, you really got to drop it down, like your hand positioning. You're pretty much playing with your thumb flat against the bridge. Like, I'm really resting it parallel to the body of the bass. But it gives you the most surface of your pinky when attacking the string during this technique. Okay, so the ascension pattern is 1 3 4 2 1 3 4 2, and descension is 1 2 3 4 1 2 3 1 2 4 3 1 2 4 3. Okay, so marking, crappy amp, crappy amp. 3 4. Now since I turned that around, I'm going to do the pattern going across the strings again, just so you can get it right. Ascension 1 3 4 2, descension 1 2 4 3. Probably this amp wants to behave. And there you have it. Turn that off. So you now have a crash course in the Geddy Lee flick flamenco picking style with your 4 fingers up and down the neck. Now we'll get into different variants on how you can do 1-string patterns doing that technique, because this technique is really best served using 1 string. It can work on different strings, but we have to go into different approaches with your right hand, and we'll get to that at a later point because it is a more advanced technique and positioning of your hand. But you now have a crash course, and you can continue to advance with your progression of Geddy Lee finger development. And tomorrow we'll go into different ways of playing this style without doing the chromatic scale, because like I've said, if you spend all day doing this chromatic scale, you're gonna get hurt in a very irreversible way. Like, you will have to sit down and not play bass for a long time just so your hands can heal, and that is the worst thing you can do for yourself. So we'll get into 1-octave scales that you can do on 1 string starting tomorrow.